Yaman, an actor who once captured hearts with his radiant energy, with that gaze capable of transmitting strength and youth. His journey began as a model of success, a cultured young man with a law degree who entered the world of television and quickly became an idol thanks to his discipline, charisma, and presence. But fame, with its lights and shadows, eventually overwhelmed him. Today we see him dimmed, immersed in an environment full of excesses, endless nights, bars open until dawn, alcohol and cigarettes trying to cover a much deeper emptiness. Just by looking at his photos or interviews, one notices that his glow is gone. His eyes, once full of life, now look tired, like those of someone who has lost the spark of the soul. The greatest danger for an actor is to lose that inner light, because without it, no character can reach the audience's heart. And this is the abyss Can is facing now, the gap between who he was and who he has become. He is surrounded by people who don't nurture him, but rather consume his energy, taking advantage of his fame. Alcohol and bad company are not solutions, just temporary hiding places from pain. For us, his followers, the most painful part is to watch him sink with his own hands. We supported him, applauded him, were proud of his achievements, but now we see him trapped in a dark circle, more and more distant from those who truly love him. Loneliness is perhaps his greatest enemy. Surrounded by false crowds, he has lost contact with the people who really care about him. When we thought of Yaman, we used to see a strong, confident, shining star. Now we see a tired man, trapped in sadness. And that is a tragedy not only for him, but also for millions of fans who dreamed of seeing him succeed worldwide. His story, which started as a success, now leans more toward a downfall. If he doesn't stop, he will lose not only his career, but also his health and soul. And yet, there is still hope. One can always come out of the darkness if one dares to look within and recognize one's mistakes. As a fan, I feel a mixture of pain and anger, not only for what he is going through, but also because his fall hurts us too, those who admired him and trusted him. That's why today I can only tell him, Can, wake up, recover your light. It's not too late, but it depends only on you. Because a star that fades in the dark ceases to be a star. And we don't want to remember Yaman as a lost spark, but as the flame that once illuminated our lives. Speaking of Demet Özdemir is not the same as speaking of Yaman. She symbolizes another way of facing fame, a different way of building her public identity and carrying forward her career. While many accuse Can of surrounding himself with excesses, parties, and dubious company, in Demet's case, the general perception is different. She appears more cautious, more reserved, although this does not mean she is free from criticism. Some argue that Demet learned from that media exposure she lived alongside Can. At that time, her image was tied to a fictional romance that fans wanted to turn into reality. Over time, she chose to break with that narrative, focus on herself, and consolidate her own path as an actress. And although some believe her success is still tied to that period, the truth is, she has managed to remain active with international projects, important collaborations, and roles that have made her grow professionally. That, in my opinion, is her greatest strength, not accepting being reduced to the title of Can's ex, but affirming herself as an independent artist. However, her path is not without shadows. Some fans feel that on certain occasions, Demet has let herself be seduced by a superficial world, by fleeting ties or questionable decisions. Those who once idealized her as simple and spontaneous now feel hurt by seeing her more distant, more calculating, too focused on appearances. Even so, I believe Demet shows a determination that deserves recognition. She has not been dragged into destructive environments, nor has she lost the guiding thread of her career. Her ability to reinvent herself, to take on new roles, and to remain consistent contrasts with the chaos in which other colleagues seem to sink. Of course, she does not always convince everyone. For some, her silence means indifference, her independence seems like coldness. But perhaps it is just a strategy, not giving unnecessary explanations and continuing on her way. What stands out is that, while Can carries the weight of self-destruction, with Demet, the prevailing feeling is that she knows what she is doing, even if her choices are not universally accepted. Many fondly remember her romantic comedies, her youthful freshness, that contagious joy. Today, instead, she appears more mature, more reserved, with an aura of distance that divides opinions. From my perspective, Demet embodies well the contradictions of modern celebrities. She needs to protect herself from constant judgment and at the same time show enough to avoid disappearing from the scene. This duality makes her less predictable, more enigmatic, and perhaps that is why she continues to generate such interest. What strikes me the most is how the comparison with Can never disappears. Together or apart, they are always mentioned in the same conversation. But while he seems lost in the noise, she, with successes and mistakes, manages to remain standing. And in a world as hostile as show business, that is already a triumph. Demet is not flawless. She has contradictions and debatable choices, but she conveys the impression that she still believes in what she does and in what she wants to build. And that, for me, deserves recognition.